I think that I was actually selected or targeted at a very early age. I'm guessing that it probably happened starting when I was about 3 years old. That would have made it in 1950. I think they targeted children who had a lot of potential. They wanted really bright children to experiment on. And the other common thread seems to be that the father was connected to the military, as mine had been. My father was a very damaged veteran of World War II, and he was a pedophile, and he was very abusive. Both the American and the Canadian governments, via the CIA, were conducting mind control experiments on children that started in the 40s, and I believe are continuing to this day. And I am a survivor of the experimentation. Some of the most prominent psychiatrists, psychologists, people who were involved in neurological studies, and including some of the presidents of the American Psychiatric Association, the Canadian Psychiatric Association, were involved in conducting these experiments on children. They used electricity, implants, a lot of experimental drugs were used, sensory deprivation was used. A simple form of torture that they used on myself and on a lot of other children was the dislocation of your limbs. So they dislocated both your arms and your legs. And that was probably the simplest, easiest, and cheapest way to reinforce the notion that you were absolutely helpless and that you could do nothing physically to defend or protect yourself from what they were going to do to you. Because your mind would say, I have to lift up my arm, I want to hit or I want to strike. Or your mind would say to your legs, get up and run, we need to run. And all you would be, there would just be your torso and your head. Being strapped down on a table, having electricity applied like to your vagina or to that area, having electricity applied to your spine. There was pedophilia involved as well. I think a lot of research people were blackmailed into taking part in experiments or into taking part in the cover-up. Because the children were used, we were used for pornography and pedophilia. And a really common occurrence was a scientist or a researcher who they needed to be involved or they needed to be complicit with them. He would find himself attending something. They would then drug him, and he would find himself in bed with a child with a camera just like this one, documenting what was going on, so that we were used as children that way, complicitly.
What it has to do with is a New World Order agenda. When I was under mind control, before I was rescued and my mind and my memory restored, I was totally robotic. I had no ability to think for myself. I had no ability to question or to reason. I could only do exactly what I was told to do. My experience that Ronald Reagan took orders directly from George Bush. George Bush was one of the highest up that I'm aware of, if not the highest up that I was ever exposed to during the course of my White House Pentagon level mind control. My daughter Kelly was not so fortunate. Once she began remembering, she went into a respiratory failure and was hospitalized in Humana Hospital in Anchorage, Alaska. It was through a series of well-orchestrated events by some of her politically affluent abusers that thrust Kelly into the custody of the state of Tennessee, where she remains a political prisoner to date. Kelly is denied rehabilitation due to who and what she knows is involved in MK-Ultra mind control, due to who and what she knows is involved in her personal victimization. Kelly is waiting the day that good people will join voices and be effective in taking back our government and getting these secrets that have been covered up under national security released.
So-called national security.
So that she can be helped. This blanket of national security is certainly threatening the security of our nation when it covers up such horrible crimes as have been perpetrated against humanity by those in control of our government. My owner in MK-Ultra mind control was U.S. Senator Robert C. Byrd. Senator Byrd has been in office longer than I've been alive. I've known Dick Cheney through Gerald Ford since 1975. He is the most brutal person I've ever encountered personally by far. But it's his attitude and his agenda that is so frightening. Who we have in position of president is a figurehead, the spokesperson. Bill Clinton, for example, which was, I've known Bill Clinton since 1979 when he was governor of Arkansas, and I knew him through some CIA black ops that were involved in the CIA cocaine operations going through Mena, Arkansas. But Bill Clinton was being groomed to slip into the office of president because he would do and say what needed to be done, and he certainly had the ability to manipulate people with the way that he spoke. And therefore it was decided in 1984 that I heard him and George Bush talking at Swiss Villa Amphitheater in Lampe, Missouri, that when people became disillusioned with Republicans leading them into the New World Order, then Bill Clinton as a Democrat would be put into place. It happened. The person that we see, the figurehead that we see as president, is not the one that's in control, and the next one's not likely to be either. And I believe that's why that Schwarzenegger's being groomed accordingly, because he too is an actor and he can voice and say whatever he's told to do as well. This is coming unless we wake up and wise up. But according to the plans that I heard at Bohemian Grove in Northern California, at the Swiss Villa Amphitheater, which is actually a CIA mind control epicenter where they train military special forces. Also Mount Shasta, California, where they train military special forces with mind control, which was where I had seen George Bush Jr. being programmed and trained and groomed as well. These particular epicenters are places where I heard numerous plans for who was going to be put into place and how the minds of the people could actually be manipulated. And I learned through that that Hillary is one being groomed as well, because not robotically or under mind control. As a matter of fact, she is definitely more criminally intelligent than Bill Clinton even. But since people in America have been socially engineered to forget the crimes during the Clinton administration and only think of the perversion, diversion, Lewinsky affair, the Hillary being paraded as an illusion of change as a woman is also forthcoming. Because when Mark rescued me in 1988, I was totally amnesic. I didn't know who I was, where I'd been. I didn't know how old I was, what year it was, until I began remembering what had happened. People who are sexually abused oftentimes have those memories begin to break right around age 30 because our bodies have numerous changes that are going on at that time where the neuron pathways of the brain begin to change and memories begin to come forward.